Hello, my friends. Good afternoon. It's time for the Pastor's Chat. My name is Lou Kilgore, and I am the pastor here at the High Mountain Presbyterian Church, physical location in Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, and an identity with congregations that spans the globe for Christianity, for spirituality, for oneness in Christ. And every grand truth of Christianity must find a particular expression. And one of those expressions is the opportunity for person-to-person relationships. Conversations that go deep, that address the why, and address the how, and address the mysterious for which there is neither answer to why or how. And the place where those points of contact take place often are Christian to Christian, believer to non-believer, person to person, but also pastor to person. So, the Pastor's Chat is a point of contact, a place where the spiritual, the mysterious, seeks to find expression in real life. So, welcome. Glad you're here. For whatever reason, if you're returning, then you know we have a history here in this conversation. We've talked now for a year. It's been actually a year because it's been a year since the first Sunday that we, as a congregation, decided to close our facilities to in-person gatherings. And as we round the bend of a year, we're now beginning to make the stirrings for when and how we will return to in-person gatherings and how they're going to be different, how the in-person gatherings will be different so that we can continue to be part of this community now that gathers around things like the chats and the Bible studies, and those gatherings on Sunday mornings are finally open to everybody. We will be having, I think, a blended experience. So today is Thursday. It's Lent, and we are moving. Even if our feet aren't moving, the calendar is moving us through Lent. Those commitments that you made for the 40 days and 40 nights are now, I hope you're not white-knuckling them right now, but you're about halfway through. And hopefully you've had not just some success if you've made commitments to to have a time of quiet or meditation every day or twice a week or something, or you've given up some kind of food to enrich your sense of engaging your consciousness in a world that can put you to sleep. I'm just hopeful that you're having a good experience there. Even if what you're finding is that you can't, or you don't, or you won't fulfill those, I'm hoping that still leads to a good experience for you in terms of encountering what life with God is like. It's always full of a lot of detours and wandering and being brought back, and even during the time of Lent. So today, I thought I got myself going yesterday. The chat yesterday was pretty long because I was venting about guilt and about the organized religion's abuse of our capacity to feel guilt. Summarizing, it's a great thing to feel remorse and guilt when you have caused hurt or pain to someone else or to yourself, or just in general. It's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with feeling guilt. In fact, if you can't feel guilt, you're probably not going to be able to be involved in relationships. But I drilled down yesterday a lot on people who feel guilty and express guilt when it's not required. So I was thinking about smaller notions related to that. I'm not really sure like where it got started, but people who feel guilty when they shouldn't remind me of people who, if life brings them to a point of tears and crying and massive emotions, they are overwhelmed with shame and guilt. Overwhelmed with shame and guilt. And end up apologizing. Like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And let me tell you a situation that happened to me a little while ago. I was meeting with a vendor for the school who was giving us some estimates on some things that his company might provide for the school. He was a very professional man. Clearly, by his physical appearance, he was Asian American. I think he was Chinese or Japanese. I try to tell. Anyway, he was Asian American. And he was rolling along in his sales pitch, very professional man, and we were sitting in what is the old sanctuary of the old church, and it still has this deeply spiritual kind of ethos to it. And he was a man of about my age, a little younger than me, and while he was in the middle of his pitch, sitting in an open space in what used to be the old sanctuary, on his way into the building, he was looking up, he was looking around, and he was clearly taken by the view, by the experience. He was taken by it. He said so. He said, this is like amazing. This is doing something to me. This is moving me. And then he went on to say his mother had been a pastor in a small church like that. And he laid those couple of things out there. And then, just a little later on in the conversation, in a way that clearly embarrassed him to no end, he became overwhelmed and began to cry. An adult male in a conversation, a business conversation, he was immediately embarrassed because he knew it was completely inappropriate for him in a business conversation to be crying. He didn't know why he was crying. He didn't know what was happening to him. He clearly, he was out of his comfort zone and did not know how to crawl back into it. And I'm a pastor. I spend some time in one-to-one conversations with people where we journey beyond the verbal boundaries of things you normally talk about, and we go deep. And I had heard what he had to say. I saw the reaction when he came into a church, knew something deep was stirring in him, and I said to him, maybe you missed it, but I didn't. I think this place is stirring up deep memories of your mom. I said, did your mom recently die? And out of his tears, he said, yes. And he didn't have a great relationship with her when she died. He didn't really want to talk about it. He wanted to get the box sealed back up. He wanted to get back inside of it. He had no intention of coming out of that comfort zone in the middle of this conversation of goods and services. And I try to reassure him to say, look, if this is going to happen to you, this is the best place because you're in a conversation with a pastor. I'm okay. Went and got him a box of tissues. It's okay. And he was embarrassed. And he kept apologizing. And this is what I'm talking about. This weird thing, this dislocation of people who aren't sorry, not sorry, for things that you really ought to figure out how to regret or how to apologize for, or how to undo, things that you say or do or don't do or should do, but don't, and then there's this whole arena of things for which people apologize or they ask for forgiveness. I'm sorry, please forgive me. For crying. When I walked into a church and the memory of my mother and our unresolved relationship wells up inside of me in a way that I cannot control. I know why. I mean, I see this all the time in this world of what is normal for a woman in relationships. You know, that when women who are in charge of businesses and things, when they cry, they always feel like they've failed in this effort to sort of reintroduce to the men world that women are perfectly capable of administrative capacities and keeping their emotions and everything straightened up. So women, they start to cry, it's like, oh no, I've completely failed. These things we apologize for. And that, by the way, that builds a bridge to another kind of thing, right? It's Lent. We're thinking about the things that we should be sorry for, the things that we should repent of, the things that we do that we need to change. And so, I'll just tell you, from the time I was old enough to figure it out, when my classmates in elementary school found out that my dad was a pastor, you know, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys, because that's the group I hung out with. I have no idea what the ethos of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls was like back then, but boys talk dirty. I mean, they love to talk sex talk and all kinds of stuff. And I just can't tell you how annoying it was to me that when I came around, all that stopped, and people who slipped or said, you know, a cuss word or something, they would look at me and they would apologize. They apologized to me. And it had a really crazy effect on me because it turned me into a cussing, swearing kid. I mean, I wanted everybody to know I was normal. So I used curse words when they weren't even necessary, when they weren't appropriate. I just became like, it was ridiculous. I look back on it and I think, my friends must have said, what are you doing? But what I'm talking about is it's continued. People find out I'm a pastor. They apologize when they say the word damn. Oh, I'm sorry, Pastor. I don't know where we've gone with this conversation. I'm trying simply in this chat to say, in chats with pastors, in chats with me, people making an attempt to be themselves, to deal with the things that are difficult to deal with, to do the things that talk about the things that make you cry, that talk about experiences that make you want to swear, that make you really want to just say the worst words you could ever say. They're in a conversation with a pastor. Can't go there. Can't go there. Apologize if they get upset and they say a word that expresses their passion. Lent is a time of introspection, but I think it also ought to be a time of letting go of the things we apologize for which there is no need to apologize. And I do it. I'm not saying I don't. If I'm in the middle of a conversation and I break down, and I do often, I'm a weeper. Sometimes when I don't want to be. Not because I feel guilty about it. It's just like, oh, come on, I want to talk. And I can't talk, I can't sing when I'm all worked up. So I'm imagining that you might be coming to talk to a pastor to talk about how you're feeling today or talk about how things are going in your life. But you might be obstructed. You might have obstacles that keep you from being able to really talk about what's going on in your life because you have this long list of don'ts, things you're not supposed to do, things that you should be ashamed of, things that, that you should apologize for, that don't really have bearing on the things of life in terms of apologizing. In fact, if you're a male in the culture today and you can cry and you're not afraid to show your feelings, I think you should be congratulated. We'll talk about that whole thing of males being disassociated from their feelings, so much so that they don't even know they don't know how to identify feelings. They don't know what they're feeling. And that's part of our whole way of the crazy way in which we try to prepare young people to be adults in the world. So when you're doing your inventories, when you're doing your thoughts, even if it's just today, and you're thinking about all that list that you carry around, those crosses that you bear, those things that you'd like to be lightened up from, the burdens that you carry, the failures, the things that you'd love to have release from. Try not to include things for which you don't need to apologize. That's where I was headed. There's never anything to say. I'm sitting and talking with people and they rip out with a curse word or they begin to cry and they apologize to me and I say, no need to apologize. It doesn't have any effect. It doesn't get in there. So I'm saying maybe you could work on it from the inside and say, there's no need for shame when life is sad, when things happen that make you want to cry, freedom to cry, giving yourself permission to cry, for which there's no reason to apologize. That's also part of the journey of Lent. Okay, my friends, another day. This was Thursday, tomorrow Friday, and we're on into the weekend. And the weather is so nice today. I know it's coming back for another round of winter, but I'm gonna drink all of this up that I can, and pray that you too are able to. If you're stuck in your house, maybe you can crack a window open and breathe some of that life-giving juice that's running in the atmosphere today. Okay, my friends, God bless you and be a blessing, be a blessing. Bless those that are near you, will you? And don't forget to give yourself a break. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow.